All right, guys, I have a 20-page or slide presentation that's going to stay locked in that computer right there, and we're going to use this. Okay? That'll get you out of here in time, I think. Okay, so we've heard a lot about the building. That's part of it. Okay, this expansion has a lot of different facets to it. I'm personally concerned about the character of my neighborhood. That's a huge part of it. Don't get me wrong. But there's more to it than that as well. There's other dynamics that we call neighborhood issues. No matter what happens, this process is what we're going to be going through. When we first got into this, I sat down with somebody, I found somebody to explain this to me. And it was terribly empowering. I finally felt like I knew what was going on. I wasn't lost. So here it is, and I hope it helps you like it did me, okay? The district council, you'll see some of these good friends right over there. They take information from our neighborhood. If you have a concern on the variances, if you have concerns on the church, if you have concerns on the parking, any of that, they will listen to you. Land use is chaired by Maggie. She runs a heck of a meeting. I'll tell you that because I'm there a lot. Okay? But they are an advisory committee. You can't go to them to get a variance. They can't do that. But what they can do is they can recommend it to the government agencies. So their contact information is on the back of this sheet. Item number 1. Okay. Then, what happens next? They need a building permit. Everybody needs a building permit if you're going to be going through something like this. So, the first thing that happens is they prepare a site plan. It's a detailed plan with landscaping and everything that it's going to take for people to really be able to understand the impact of this building permit that they're giving out. That's run by the Department of Safety and Inspections. And what they do is they look at that site plan and they say, okay, I got to get all the great minds the city has. I got to get the safety guys, I got to get the fire guys, I got to get traffic guys, I get them all in the same room. They look at this plan, okay? Then they look at it and say, well, you can't really do that, or yeah, I see that you want to have something that's this big, but you can only have it this big. You're going to need a variance in order to be able to do that. Okay, well and good. So we've got the regulations that are there to limit and control growth. Make sure that it's appropriate for the character of the neighborhood that you're in. The variances are there in order for exceptions, is really what that is. So they'll determine the variances, and that's a staff meeting. It's probably the best way of putting that. So that's not a public hearing. You're not going to be able to go there. You can empower our district council, however, because particularly in the case of this one, they will have a seat at that table. Okay? After that's done, they decided the variances that they're going to have to go forward with. That goes for a variance review. So they say you need a parking variance. Let's use that as an example. It's probably the most obvious one for this. You have 26 sites here. You need 100. According to the plan. How are you going to satisfy? What are we going to do in order to rectify that? So the people requesting the variance go through and propose how they're going to satisfy that. That proposal for that variance is going to go for a review to either the Board of Zoning Reviews or the Planning Commission, right? Second to the last box. So they'll take in the required variances, input from our district council, and that's a public hearing. And that's where we can all go. You can go there in person. You can send letters. Everyone can weigh in on that. You don't have to even be an effective party. You can speak to that. So you can go in there, and then they'll discuss it. They find out if they think it's the right thing. There are 6 criteria that need to be met. All of them need to be met. I'm not going to go through them because it's in my 19 slides. But they'll go through and say this is in harmony with the neighborhood for these reasons. Okay? That one of the staff, and Jerome, keep me on track here, Jerome is from our Department of Safety and Inspection and has come here to support me tonight. All right, how am I doing on time? Okay, so what? Where was I? Okay, that's a public hearing. We're all in there and that. Okay, once that variance is either approved or denied, it's not over. Okay, either party can appeal. That appeal has to go in within 10 days, and $475, if I remember correctly, it goes to the city council. Okay? So our friends at city council, that's when they become a quasi-judicial function at that point. And they judge on the merits of that variance, whether it should actually be designed, or actually be granted, or rejected. That is the last board of appeal for this. It does not mean it's absolutely the end of the road. The thing that I just found out recently is, no, you can always go to district court. I'm not advising that by any stretch of the imagination, but that's the path. I call it final decision on this paper. I hope to God it is, but it's not absolutely final. There's also one more thing that I want to add just quickly here that was in the box. The city council has the authority to declare a moratorium. And I just learned about this last week. What they can do, they have the authority to be able to say, I want to declare a moratorium on this building project or this section of the city or however they define it until this situation is resolved. So, for instance, we could petition our city council to ask for a moratorium until the historic work and the designation work is being done. That's a big hammer, but it's something that can be done. All right, that's the sheet, the information on the back. Please go ahead and call that. It has my friend Jerome's name and telephone number on there, along with the other departments that you may want to get to know intimately, as I have.
Good news on the moratorium.
Yes.